So today, we're diving into a beauty school that's doing things, well, a whole lot differently. See, the Louisville Beauty Academy isn't just churning out stylists. They're actually building a new kind of professional by focusing on one thing that changes everything: real earned confidence. Just let that sink in for a second. What if fear wasn't something to run away from? Most of us are taught to see fear as a stop sign, right? But the entire model at LBA is built on this pretty radical idea that fear is actually a signal that you're growing and you can actually harness it. So let's get into how they pull it off. Okay, so to really get what makes LBA's solution so special, we've got to start by understanding the problem. And for so many people wanting to get into the beauty industry, the problem comes down to a few core fears that can feel totally paralyzing. I mean, does any of this sound familiar? That pit in your stomach when you think about working on actual paying customers? The sheer dread of that final licensing exam, the fear of getting rejected from your dream job, or just that big, overwhelming fear of failing altogether. These are the exact monsters LVI is set up to help students slay. So what's their secret weapon? It all kicks off with this simple but incredibly powerful idea they call the Yes, I Can philosophy. And really, this is the foundation for the whole shebang. Look, this isn't about just waking up one morning and magically feeling confident. It's all about the journey from, yes, I think I can do this, to, oh wow, I've actually done it. And how do you get there? By racking up a ton of small, completed actions. Every single one is like a little victory, a little proof point that builds real, solid confidence from the ground up. And honestly, this quote from the founder, Detran, just hits the nail on the head. You don't sit around and wait for the fear to vanish. No way. You act while you're scared, and it's through that action that you earn the confidence that eventually quiets the fear. So that's the big idea. But how do you turn that into something you do every single day in the classroom? Well, that's where their system called Fail Fast, Fix Fast comes in. This is where the rubber really meets the road. This process is just brilliant because it's so simple. You're not just allowed to fail, you're literally encouraged to try something and get it wrong. The key, though, is that you're doing it in a safe, supportive place where you can figure out what went wrong right away and just try it again. It completely flips the script. Failure isn't the enemy, it's the fastest way to learn. And this visual just shows the difference perfectly. Over here on one side, you've got the old way of thinking, this huge, scary mountain, this one final high-stakes result you're obsessed with. LBA just tosses that out. Their model is the staircase. It's all about focusing on the small daily steps. The final goal isn't the obsession, it's just what naturally happens when you consistently do the work. All right, let's connect all this back to those big fears we talked about in the beginning. How does this whole philosophy of taking action actually help a student deal with their specific anxieties? See, instead of just talking about anxiety, LBA has these really targeted strategies to take it apart. They've built practical systems designed to dismantle each major fear, piece by piece, turning all that internal noise into real, manageable action. So, you're scared of working on real people? The solution is pretty simple. Start working on real people right away and all the time. LBA has a student salon, and they do volunteer clinics, so students aren't waiting until the very end to face this fear. They're building that real-world muscle from day one in a place where it's okay to learn. And what about that terrifying exam? They tackle it with pure repetition. Students take these chapter quizzes again and again and again until they get a perfect 100%. By the time the actual state board exam rolls around, they've already seen, failed, and corrected every possible question. The fear of the unknown, it's completely gone. You know, just communicating can be a huge source of anxiety, especially if English isn't your first language. So LBA provides actual, practical tools to help. We're talking multilingual staff, AI translators, even help drafting professional emails. They remove the barriers and teach students that it's not just okay to ask for help, it's a sign of strength. So the most important takeaway here is that failure gets a total rebrand. It's not some dead end you're supposed to avoid at all costs. It's actually a crucial ingredient for success. It becomes the most important step in that journey from a hopeful, yes, I can, to a powerful, I have done it. Okay, so after going through this whole unique system, what kind of professional actually emerges on the other side? What's the final product that walks out of the Louisville Beauty Academy? Well, for starters, they walk out armed with a piece of knowledge that shatters one of the biggest and honestly most harmful myths in the entire industry. So many students and new grads think that if they don't have that final license in their hand, they can't even get a job in a salon. And the answer to that question is a clear, powerful, resounding no. You absolutely do not need a license just to work in a salon. You only need it to perform specific services on clients. And you guys, this is a total game changer. It means a graduate can start working right away as a receptionist, a retail pro, or a salon assistant. They get to be in the environment, learning the culture, making connections, and earning money all while they're studying for their exam. It just takes all that pressure off. So all of this comes together to create a really specific kind of graduate. They're not just defined by their skills with scissors or skincare, they're defined by their mindset. They're driven by action, they're focused on people, they're obsessed with learning, and their confidence? It comes from doing the work. And this right here is exactly why salon owners are actively trying to hire LBA students, sometimes before they've even graduated. They know that you can always teach someone a new haircutting technique. But finding someone with a resilient, positive, action-oriented mindset, that is priceless. So we'll end on this thought. The LBA model is so much more than just a curriculum for a beauty school. It's really a blueprint for growth in any part of your life. It leaves us all with a pretty powerful question to chew on. What could you achieve if you just stopped waiting to feel confident and instead started building it, one small action at a time?